Thank you very, very much for all of you, the members of the Committee for Free Trade Unionism, who invited me here to participate in this meeting, and to our brothers from Latin America and the United States. I feel very enthused and happy to be here with you. Some of you whom I know already for a long time, some that I have talked to over the phone, and with whom we have exchanged views. But to be very brief, because there is little time to talk too much about everything that is happening in Cuba and what's happening to the workers there. We can, however, tell you that presently, and at this time, after 50 years, the Cuban workers have been the most oppressed by the fact that they have simply been independent unionists, and that they were not in opposition or governmental union. But thousands of workers have suffered in the Cuban jails simply because they did not allow themselves to be rolled over. We, the independent unions, were judged and condemned to many years of prison. Why? Simply because we were independent, and the independent unions are totally forbidden. Independent unions are in total violation of Convention 87 of the ILO. And the Cuban government is one of the signatories of that convention. And because it is in violation of other conventions, which the Cuban government is a signatory and is violating consistently. As for the human rights, the Commission on Human Rights, which says that every worker has a right to join a union in order to defend his interests. Not only Article 23, but all 30 articles of that convention are continuously broken. They are violating the fundamental rights of all citizens, and they are violating every civil and civic meeting, be they workers or intellectuals or professionals. We became the voice that defended the rights of the workers in Cuba. And for that reason, we were persecuted. You know, all of you know, we have heard from the brothers who have described their situation. Not only are the workers in Cuba suffering very harsh conditions. At this time, the Cuban workers are being threatened with 1.5 million who are going to be thrown out. They are going to be dismissed because the Cuban government cannot make any further excuses for its errors. It has an enormous problem, and the only way it can solve it is by having the workers pay for the grave errors that the government committed in its centralized economy and having violated all of the rights of the Cuban workers. The Cuban economy is totally broke. It is in bankruptcy. Every fund has been overdrawn. There has been a total inefficiency in the system, and this has led to the situation that the workers are suffering. The government has had many accomplices in South America and in Europe. That ridiculous movement of the left. All of those who have supported the Cuban ideology, an ideology which luckily is now on the border of the precipice, and it's about to fall forever. The government of Cuba has now invited former President Carter of the United States to Cuba. And we don't know what he's been invited for or the reason for which former President Carter went there. But we know that he has met with the opposition. In other words, he is recognizing the Cuban people because he has joined the opposing parties and other NGOs and organizations that oppose the government. In other words, we already have the recognition of the former President of the United States, President Carter. On our own, we continue to maintain contact with the independent unions of Cuba. They continue to work with the independent unions of the world as they have always done. Why? Because they have seen that we, the independent unions, can give a new content, a new message. Whenever we've had problems with the governments, since the Cuban government is the overall landlord, the overall boss, they came to see us, all of those people, so that we could give them some tools so that they could defend themselves. There has been a realization on the part of those workers who continue to work with the free trade unions in order to defend their interests, and who are not in the least bit interested in the official union. They think and laugh at them. Their Secretary General is not an elected person. He has been designated. He's like a minister of the government. And furthermore, he attends the meetings of the Council of Ministers in Cuba. And they belong to the Central Committee. Very soon, there's going to be a Congress, a party Congress in Cuba, where those members of the official trade union movement that belong to the Central Committee are going to be attending, of course. From what we see and what has been our experience, and from what we know, we are sure that there's not going to be any voice there that is going to express their defense of the 1 million workers who are going to be thrown out in the streets. They defend the state. They defend the boss. And the boss is the Cuban government. I am sure that we're not going to be mistaken. We know that that Congress is going to be held and that the Cuban workers are going to be continuing living the same situation. They're going to be subject to the same official union movement. They will continue to attend these meetings and big demonstrations. They don't want to believe. But if they don't attend those meetings, they get thrown out of their job. If they don't appear on the list once they're called, they are fired. Nobody's going there voluntarily. They go simply because otherwise they would be removed from their jobs. Just like the youth movement. If they don't attend these meetings, they get thrown out of the university. And these are the accomplices that the Cuban government has. Some people are very familiar with this situation. We have many a times sent reports to the ILO on the violations that are being committed. We would also send it to the Committee for Free Trade Unions. We continue to denounce what is happening in Cuba, on the abuses that are being committed against the trade union movement. Notwithstanding, the independent union movement has continued to survive. It never ended, not even when they were sent to jail. It is very easy to send us to jail. And then, what happens? The movement continues. We are the owners of our own lives and can defend every just cause. We have been subject of terrible torture. We are all here to attest to that. We're all working in the same direction, and until we see the Cuban people free, the workers free, so that they can come to a decision, they can invest their money, or that they can travel wherever they wish to travel, or that they can change jobs whenever they wish to. And if they want to belong to a union, they can belong to the union that they select. They should not have any problem in that. Yes, they would come to the independent unions, and we would say, when you don't want to belong in the same movement with us, you're most welcome, you can leave. We always gave that guarantee that if they didn't want to be with us, there was no obligation to belong to the independent labor movement, and we were going to defend everyone who did want to join us. So, we have no obligation. We are democratic peoples. And if we wanted to be independent unions, we don't want to be the bosses of anybody. The democratic spirit of the democratic union movement does not allow us. We support democracy. If there is no diversity, there is no democracy. That's why I don't continue, because there are others who need to speak. I said that I was going to try to be very brief, because the situation of the Cuban workers is very difficult indeed. Everything seems to indicate that the Cuban government will at this time find itself in a very difficult position. In other words, the citizenship of Cuba is also going through a very difficult situation, and the Cuban government is threatening to take revenge, as they have done with the ladies in white. I feel ashamed for those in the government who continue to hit women, defenseless women, and breaking their limbs when they are hitting women in the streets. That simply means, and all they want is for the government to set their family members free. But the complicity continues among certain governments and certain organizations from Central America or South America or Europe who continue to support that government. I don't want to qualify them as anything, but it is really an odious government. Those of you who know what is going on have to know what is happening at the present time and all the difficulties and dangers we are encountering on the way. Thank you.